Sup, y'all, we back. So it's been a big meme recently how much Dana White rides the boat that is Jon Jones at the moment, specifically regarding whether or not Jon Jones deserves to be the #1 pound for pound in the sport. And I'm gonna just say this right now, he fucking doesn't, and neither does Islam. In my opinion, the rightful place for pound #1 is Alex Pereira. And let me explain to you why. Currently, right now, the pound for pound ratings has Islam at #1, Alex Pereira at #2, and Jon Jones is #3. And that only changed recently with Pereira and Jones after Pereira knocked out Prochazka. Now, the thing is, years ago, keeping Jon Jones pound for pound #1 did make sense, but as it stands currently right now, it makes zero sense to me for many reasons. Before we even get to Jones versus Pereira, I want to explain why I don't have Islam rightfully at #1. In my opinion, Islam's performances are nowhere near as dominant or as impressive as Alex Pereira's, and you can't even pull the undefeated card that you would for like a Khabib or a Jon Jones because he's not undefeated. He's shown far more weakness in his one title run than Alex Pereira has shown in both of his. I feel awkward using this mic like this. Hold on. This is much better. Pereira has only made it to decision twice in his entire UFC career. First one in his second fight against Silva, and then when he was moving up to light heavyweight against Jan. And either way, he still won both of those fights. Other than that, he's been finishing his opponents pretty smooth sailing throughout the entirety of his career. Obviously, he had that hard fight with Adesanya the first time, and he did get knocked out by Adesanya the second time out, but he was winning the fight pretty comfortably before that happened. I'm not negating the loss at all, but I do think it is kind of funny considering it's 3-1 in their official, score against each other in life. Fourth time's the charm if you're Israel Adesanya. But for Islam, after his impressive victory over Charles Oliveira, he had a horribly tough fight against Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champion at the time. Then the rematch with Oliveira fell through, so then he ended up fighting Volkanovski on 1 week's notice, knocked the fuck out of him, kicked him in the next week, which was very impressive. But then he ended up fighting Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier fought like fucking hell. Granted, Islam very clearly did win the fight, but it was a tough, hard fight. Dustin roughed him up, made it a dogfight, and really battered that face up. Not to mention the fact that Islam only has one title to his name and Alex Pereira has 2 weight world championships. Just comparatively, I would place Alex Pereira over Islam any day. Plus, when you think pound for pound, like pound for pound means pound for pound. If you're the champion of one division only and only fight at one division, never competing in any other, and you're being compared to a guy who has 2 world championships across 2 divisions and is thinking about jumping up to a third, has a more impressive career than you, has a more dominant championship career than you, comparatively, there's no way I'm putting Islam above Alex Pereira. Now to Jon Jones. In my opinion, I cannot put that much stock in a career that was mostly fueled by testosterone that was injected into his ass or swallowed down the throat. Jon Jones has more failed drug tests than I have years of being an adult. Not to mention the fact that in most of his recent fights, aside from Cyril Gane at heavyweight, the fights were very competitive, and a lot of people argue that sometimes Jones loses those fights. They believe that it could be a robbery or whatever, or they got the wrong decision. You get what I'm saying. Controversy has circled Jon Jones throughout his entire career. And with him now ducking the interim champion Tom Aspinall for over a year at this point, for no real good reason other than the fact that he wants to fight Stipe, who, well and good, should be retired at this point. Stipe has not been in the cage since he lost badly to Francis Ngannou. And let's not forget that Francis Ngannou, when he was doing his championship run at heavyweight, a lot of people wanted to make the Jones versus Ngannou fight, and the only reason the fight didn't happen was because of Jon Jones. I don't want to hear no fucking bullshit about how Francis was ducking Jones. The entire time anybody ever tried to make that fight, the only reason that it didn't happen was because Jones was saying he needed more time to bulk up to heavyweight, as if he wasn't saying he wanted to move to heavyweight for like years. It's very convenient that the moment that Francis Ngannou left the UFC, that's when Jon Jones made his move to heavyweight. And he won his championship by a first-round submission off of the dude that Francis Ngannou out-wrestled in his leaving championship fight. Like, even if you're a Jones fan, you have to point out the hilarious irony and all that. But yeah, Tom Aspinall is going to be fighting this weekend, I'm pretty sure, coming up, in a rematch to the original fight with Curtis Blades. And the fight is not an undisputed world championship fight. It's an interim championship fight, which is the dumbest fucking thing to me. The current champion is right now suspended after ducking the interim champion for over a year to fight a guy who lost in his last fight, the championship bout, who is well over the hill, hasn't fought in years, hasn't even been in talks of fighting for years, and is suspended for attacking the people that came to his house to drug test him. And let's not act like Jon Jones doesn't have drug testing controversies throughout his entire career. I said it earlier, I'll say it again, I'll say it every time we have Jon Jones in the conversation because it must not be overlooked. I forget when exactly I heard this, but there was a clip where DC was talking about Jones ducking Aspinall. And he was like, look, I fought Jones when I was 37 years old. Jon was in his 20s, a young man, healthy champion. And he fought him twice. He lost both of those times, but he took it like a man. Jon Jones is the current champion at 36 years old and doesn't want to fight. He wouldn't even face off with Aspinall. Like, it genuinely pisses me off. Like, whenever I see that a New York card or a Madison Square Garden card is going to be headlined by Jon Jones, I genuinely want to punch my screen. There is no legitimate reason that you could come up with for Alex Pereira not being number one pound for pound, especially with his activity, his dominance, his performances, his multiple weight class world championship wins. The only blemish on Alex Pereira's entire career is his loss to Adesanya. That's it. Other than that, the rest of his career has been nothing but impressive and undisputed. And he's thinking about jumping up to heavyweight to fight Aspinall anyway, or fight Jones. I do find it funny that Jones is open to fighting Alex Pereira over Tom Aspinall. There's been more talks about fighting Pereira than Tom Aspinall, and that fight has not even been remotely thought about until recently. That's why I get so mad when I see Dana White just hard body sucking it on both knees for Jon Jones when it comes to pound for pound status. It makes no sense to me. I don't know what Jones has over Dana or the UFC at this point. Whether it's like fraud or some tax shit, I don't know, man. Maybe he has naked pictures of Dana. I genuinely don't understand why Dana rides so hard for Jon Jones, who has done nothing but make his job incredibly hard. We all remember when they had to move a fight venue to a complete different state because Jon Jones wasn't cleared, or when he made UFC 200 fall apart. There's just controversy after controversy and just genuine criminal behavior and just disgusting behavior that you can follow throughout his entire career and life. Who could forget the night that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame where he smashed his head into a police cop car high on cocaine after abusing his wife in front of his kids? This is who the UFC is protecting as their undisputed heavyweight champion. This is just my quick take on the matter. I wanted to dive more deep into this, but I've been sitting on this video idea for way too long anyway, so leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Comment your thoughts whether or not you agree or whether or not you disagree. Who do you think actually deserves the pound for pound number one spot, whether it is Makhachev, Pereira, or Jones? And subscribe for more fight talk in the future. Later, y'all.
My secrets and my heart is what I gave to you. In return, you see nothing but a lame excuse. And it's wow, I did everything just to see you smile. I've been thinking about you for a while. Responding to your pics and your vids. Now I see you just do it for the gram. And you talking on your man.